Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Bridge City News. Here's a look at some of the top stories we have lined up for you tonight. It's back to school day in Alberta, but high schoolers stage protests in support of teachers. Plus, the Israeli military claims Hamas is staging the discovery of human remains in Gaza and has video to prove it. And 25 people are dead in Haiti after Hurricane Melissa unleashes its fury in the Caribbean.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Jeanette Roche.
Thanks for joining us. Today, over 740,000 students across Alberta returned to classrooms after the UCP government invoked the Charter's notwithstanding clause to pass a bill ordering the 51,000 striking teachers back to school. Many teachers and parents wore red shirts in solidarity this morning as schools reopened. BCN's Heidi Echeverria visited several schools to capture students' and parents' reactions to the return.
Kind of tough, kind of like not going to school, kind of stressed out because I don't know what's going to happen.
Early this morning, Alberta students returned to school after a 23-day teacher strike with smiles, relief, and lingering questions about the months ahead academically.
For the heavy workload that I'm probably going to get, I'm trying to catch up on classes, how much we missed, because our quarter is going to end soon. I'm not really sure because I don't know how it will look on for instance, long term, will I have to do this class again, or will I actually have the materials and the time and effort to actually do stuff?
It was really nerve-wracking because it was just the unknown, right?
It was pretty out of the blue and we couldn't do anything to prepare for it.
And we have diplomas, so
our first diploma was supposed to be today.
I don't know what's gonna happen, but I hope it ends up working out for us. Honestly, working the whole time was too stressful.
It was.
I think it's a lot better that we're back.
One of the reasons 51,000 teachers went on strike is that classes with about 36 students or more make learning harder.
The students themselves aren't getting the attention that they need to be able to succeed.
I'm just gonna hopefully try my best and try and get my grades up.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if the quarter is gonna be ending or if we're gonna go on to the semester system.
It's just so hard with the strike because I think 2 days in our classes are worth a week in the semester system, so we lost so much.
We missed half of our quarter.
Yeah, we literally missed half the quarter.
As a parent, it's incredibly challenging. I'm a single parent myself. I had to stay home with the kids, and obviously if we're working, we got to find extra childcare. Having to pay extra childcare fees for the entire day, and then go off to work and try and earn a living and pay our bills and all that kind of stuff becomes very stressful. The struggle's definitely real, and we have to try to come up with some more solutions. I mean, the strike's good so we can get the kids back into school. The complexities of why they had to come back or the collective bargaining agreements and all that stuff, it can be very confusing for parents. Myself as a teacher, currently on leave, it's confusing. So we don't really know where things will go from here, what the situation is like, for the teachers and the students. So there's still a lot of questions. I just try to do my part and take care of the kids. The kids come first. So we always say too, every child matters, but a strike like this, takes a political platform and really kind of takes away from the children's needs.
I think the teachers should stay on strike, but also I don't think they should because our education does matter.
Classes return with parents, teachers, and students reflecting that every child and their education matter. For Bridge City News, I'm Heidi Echeverria.
Thanks so much, Heidi. The Lethbridge School Division issued a statement on Wednesday welcoming students and staff back to class. While realizing it's been an incredibly challenging time for everyone involved, the division is asking for ongoing patience as we transition back into classroom routines and the return to in-person learning. It says there will be a period of adjustment in the next few weeks. As for what the rest of the school year will look like, the school division says it will provide more information to share once preparations have been made for the remainder of the 2025-26 school year. Even though students across the province finally returned to their classrooms, many of them took action on Wednesday on behalf of their teachers in various walkouts. In Lethbridge, 2 walkouts occurred at Lethbridge Collegiate Institute and Chinook High School. At LCI, a grade 11 student who organized the event said In the case of their school, class sizes have resulted in a lack of support for other classmates she knows of.
I feel that a lot of the teachers with like over 30, 40, 50 kids in their class, they don't have time to teach a lesson, give practice, and answer all the questions. There have been times here at LCI where we haven't had enough, and we've had to worry about not having enough readers, people losing their like ISP supports. My younger brother in his middle school, he has an ISP. They can't supply any of his supports because they don't have enough money. My one friend she's in grade 11 with me, but she's doing a grade 12 class with 55 kids. There was not enough desks at the start of the year. It's a mess and it needs to get fixed.
More walkouts are expected this week, including a province-wide walkout that will occur simultaneously at 11 a.m. on a Thursday. And while we're talking about education, the Alberta government is making sure private career colleges are making good on their promises. The province has introduced the Private Vocational Training Amendment Act, which it says will strengthen the quality of training and programming at private post-secondary institutions and protect students against misleading financial information. Momentum, which is a Calgary-based not-for-profit that helps low-income people find meaningful jobs through education, says this new bill will help prevent disasters that they hear about far too often.
I think of Ozzy, a refugee who is enrolled in a laser beauty tech program at $9,000 and a student loan at a 30% interest rate without her knowledge. We celebrate the students who spoke up about their experiences when it felt unsafe to do so or when it felt pointless or hopeless. Without their courage, we couldn't have worked towards these proposed changes today.
Amendments would help us better address concerns about false and misleading recruitment practices used by some private career colleges. Bill 3 would also ensure that we can set clear rules about the use of third-party recruiters and financial incentives promised to students during recruitment. We want students to be able to make fully informed choices based on the quality of programs, not manipulative sales tactics.
Minister Miles McDougall says this bill will also clarify what students can expect from the job market after they complete a program and require institutions to post the percentage of people who end up with jobs. Those found in violation of the standards can have their licenses suspended or a stop order placed on a program. There are more than 200 private career colleges in Alberta with more than 66,000 students. A Northern Ontario First Nation has signed a partnership deal with the province designed to speed up construction of a road to the mineral-rich Ring of Fire. The province will give Webakwe First Nation nearly $40 million to build a community centre with an arena, rebuild its airport terminal that recently burned down, and also buy materials and equipment to begin early work on a road to the proposed Ring of Fire mining site.
It is focused in real terms to pre-position the community to build the Webakwe Supply Road, a road or corridor access for the community to the Ring of Fire and points beyond, directly and including the Northern Link road we've spoke of in the past.
There's a lot of hard work up ahead for us, but I know that with our hard work, we can move forward and make things happen that'll be for the benefit of our community. And for Webakwe First Nation, it's an opportunity for us, and we like to make that opportunity flourish into something that will be recognized in our community.
Well, my vision is prosperity for Webakwe First Nations and communities right around there. An opportunity, and I was mentioning to the council and the chief that their children and their grandchildren are going to grow up differently than what they did. They're going to have opportunities available to them that they didn't have, and we're changing lives up there and creating more opportunities for jobs and community centers and hockey arenas and access to medical and food and equipment that can go up through, I like calling it the road of prosperity too, because that's what it brings to the communities.
Pending approvals and consultations, construction on the Webakwe Supply Road will begin in June of 2026. A disturbing story from the Middle East on Wednesday. Israel has released a video it says shows Hamas staging the discovery of hostage remains in Gaza. We get details in this report from the Associated Press.
The Associated Press has analysed a video released by Israel, accusing Hamas of staging the discovery of remains of a hostage in Gaza. The video shows a white body bag being thrown out of a damaged building into a dugout area. 3 masked men are seen burying the body bag before heavy machinery moves it to a nearby area where it is buried for a second time. The men then dig it out before photos are taken of the body bag. People wearing red vests can be seen observing. The Associated Press geolocated the footage and confirmed its location. It could not, however, confirm the exact date or time it was filmed, or if the remains were in fact inside the body bag. Hamas did not respond to AP's request for comment, but in a statement accused Israel of obstructing their efforts to search for more hostage remains. The International Committee of the Red Cross confirmed in a written statement that a team was present in good faith and was unaware of the circumstances leading to the discovery of the remains. It said it is unacceptable that a fake recovery was staged. Israel said the body bag contained the partial remains of Ophir Zarfati, returned to Israel on Monday, but part of his remains had been recovered in November 2023.
Since the release of the video, Israel has launched strikes against Hamas in Gaza. The Israeli military says it will resume the ceasefire, but will continue to respond forcefully to any violation. Hurricane Melissa is leaving a path of death and destruction in the Caribbean. After slamming into Jamaica as one of the strongest Category 5 hurricanes on record, Melissa roared over Haiti. The mayor of a southern coastal town says 25 people have died after a river burst its banks and flooded nearby homes. In some areas, the storm dumped 40 centimeters of rain. Dozens of homes have collapsed and people are still trapped under rubble as Melissa moves across nearby Cuba as a Category 2 storm. The Caribbean Hurricane Center says the storm is expected to play a role in dumping some ugly weather across eastern Canada later this week. The storm will partly be blamed for strong winds and heavy rain in the Maritimes on Friday. Back here at home, Alberta sheriffs closed a problem property where criminal activity had prompted more than 60 calls to police since 2021. SCAN, which is the Safer Communities and Neighborhoods unit, obtained a court order against the property owner of 1025 12th Street South. The community safety order bars all people from the property until the closure period ends on January 26th of next year. SCAN says it hopes neighbors and surrounding residents will finally have peace of mind following the multiple disturbances from the property over time.
So living in this community for the past 3 years, there's no doubt, and the complainants explained it, it's been terrible. It's nonstop traffic to this property. They'd seen intoxicated people, they'd seen people passed out in the neighborhood, they'd seen drug paraphernalia around the neighborhood. They saw fights, assaults, there's been arguing, yelling. So we hope with this community safety order, what it'll do is break the cycle of drug and criminal activity in this community. And that's the hope of the 90-day closure. So to get this point to last resort, we always want to work with the owner to try to correct the problems prior to this. In this case, attempts to work with the owner, provide them information and support were unsuccessful, and that's why we were forced to go to court to try to get this community safety order.
After the 90 days, the property will remain under community safety orders for 2 years and be monitored by SCAN members while the investigation continues. The town of Coaldale and its workers are trying to hammer out a new contract, but there have been some speed bumps along the way because of the recent municipal elections. At the beginning of October, Town Council received a new proposal from the Alberta Union of Provincial Employees, but said any response should be handled by the newly elected council. Then on October 14th, AUPE announced employees had filed an unfair labor practice complaint against the town, alleging a refusal to meet and continue negotiations in a timely manner.
The new council is the previous council. They were all re-elected. So to the extent that they actually looked at AUPE's previous proposal, then all the same people should know what it is, and they're obligated to consider it and provide a kind of a thoughtful response. And I think they're meeting on Monday, and then the parties are bargaining on November 5th and 6th. The town has the proposal. They have not meaningfully responded to it, except to say they're not going to simply agree to it. In its earlier proposal, the town was seeking a number of changes to the existing arrangement around overtime and call-out pay and time off in lieu of certain pay. And the union in its recent proposal has agreed to a number of the things the town wanted. You know, the union's anxiously awaiting some kind of meaningful bargaining with the town to try and end this lockout and get a fair collective agreement in place so that employees can return to work. As every day that goes by, the Labor Relations Board has already found that the town has breached its obligations under the Labor Relations Code by not meeting, and every further day that goes by, there's potential for monetary consequences on the town as a result of not having bargained basically during all of October.
BCN also contacted the mayor and other Coaldale officials for a status update on negotiations, but we have yet to receive a response. A frightening incident in San Francisco and a happy ending on Tuesday. Police and fire crews teamed up to rescue a dog after it fell off an oceanside cliff. Rescuers say the dog was playing with another pooch at Fort Funston, a coastal park with steep bluffs that can drop up to 200 feet to the beach below. The dog apparently slipped on some vegetation, lost its traction, and fell over the cliff. But miraculously, the dog found a temporary refuge on a ledge about 40 feet below the top of the cliff. One rescuer rappelled down the sandy cliff face and put a harness on the dog and held it as they were pulled up together. That very lucky pooch was reunited with its very happy owner. Lucky dog indeed. He must have been terrified. I would say firefighters really are heroes, that's for sure. Canada Post is eliminating some managerial positions along with laying off an unspecified number of workers. The cuts come as the mail carrier begins work on a major transformation to strengthen the postal service. Canada Post is currently working to reach a new contract with its unionized workers who have been taking part in rotating strikes. Last month, Ottawa introduced sweeping changes to Canada Post mandate that allow for adjustments in delivery standards and more. Steel fabricators are putting their hopes on possible Buy Canadian provisions in next week's federal budget to help with punishing U.S. tariffs. They say U.S. President Donald Trump's 50% levy on steel imports has inflicted financial losses and contract cancellations. However, a Buy Canadian mandate may still have its challenges.
Steel fabricators, folks who make everything from nuts and bolts to beams for bridges and infrastructure projects, came together in Montreal today for a conference, and the vibe there was pretty I wouldn't say dismal, but it was downbeat, because in a year that's gone from bad to worse, steel fabricators are really worried about the US tariffs that have had a punishing effect on their industry, and they're trying to come up with solutions and pitches to government as to how to revive their flagging business. So they're pinning some hopes on the federal budget that is coming up. Next week, the Liberal government will be tabling a budget, and the steel industry is hoping, and some folks seem pretty confident that this will go through. One thing that steel producers are worried about is that even if they get more of an advantage in Canada from a Buy Canadian provision in government, they're also worried about increased competition, both with each other domestically, because many have been shut out effectively of the U.S. market, and from foreign steel firms and producers who are also effectively excluded from America now and will be looking for other markets to vend their wares in. So there's a concern that bottom lines will be thinner, even if folks aren't directly affected or don't have client losses. Lost clients as a result of the tariffs.
Canada's economy is showing cracks from U.S. tariffs, but inflation appears largely under control. The Bank of Canada today lowered its key interest rate by 0.25% to 2.25%, the second consecutive cut. Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem says monetary policymakers feel it might be the right level at which to keep inflation close to the 2% target while supporting the economy through tariff disruptions. But what can be accomplished is limited.
Monetary policy can't It can't target specific sectors. It can't target the hard-hit sectors, aluminum, steel, autos. It can't help companies find new markets. It can't help companies reconfigure their supply chains. What it can do is it can try to mitigate the spillovers from the hard-hit sectors to the rest of the economy. And it can try and help the economy adjust to this structural change. But its role is limited because, as I said, this is more than a cyclical downturn. It's a structural change. There are added costs that limits how much we can boost demand and keep inflation well controlled.
Now here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was down 274 to 30,144. The Dow was down 74 to 47,632. The S&P 500 was down just under a point to 6,890, and the Nasdaq was up 130 to 23,958. West Texas Intermediate Oil was up 20 cents to $60.35 US per barrel. Natural gas was down 6 cents to $3.80 US. Gold was down 23.08 to $39.2903 US an ounce, and silver was up 42 cents to $47.54 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $7.21 per bushel, barley is at $5.62, canola is at $14.55, and corn is at $7.37 per bushel. Live cattle were up $3.90 to $231.40. Feeder cattle were up $3.77 to $347.87, and lean hog's December contract was down 5 cents to $80.77. And the Canadian dollar was even over the past 24 hours and currently sits at $71.70 US.
Recapping one of our top stories, it was back to school today for about 740,000 Alberta students who have been out of class for over 3 weeks because of a teacher strike. The teachers were legislated back to work by the government. Many teachers and parents were read in a show of solidarity. High school students staged protests in support of teachers with more rallies planned for Thursday. Agriculture is the driving force behind the economy of Lethbridge County. It produces about $4 billion of GDP that comes from just the ag sector. But Lethbridge County offers a lot in terms of other business opportunities. Coming up next, Trevor Lewington, the new Director of Growth and Engagement for the County of Lethbridge, will join me to tell us a whole lot more. Also, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. You can also visit our website or YouTube channel anytime to check out more of our stories and interviews.